Does this look as ridiculous as it feels? Yes?
Yes. Motivational speaker.
All right. Is that better? No? Yes? Okay. Then we'll have to do that, I guess. So, I know some people here have spent time at poetry readings, and some haven't. But I'm going to start out with a preemptive poem, which is called Why I Left the Poetry Reading Early. I wanted to applaud after the very first poem, in which the famous poet revealed the secrets of the universe and the human soul with no more effort than a shrug. The second poem put the first to shame. I was forced to restrain myself by gripping the edges of my chair and sitting on my thumbs. Soon it took all my resolve to keep from shouting, "Bravo!" after nearly every line. 5 more minutes of this, and nothing would have stopped me from rising, unbidden, and burbling superlatives. So I left. As I tiptoed down the hall, I thought I heard the famous poet say, "Now we can really begin." Okay, so people have asked about the title poem, and there are a number of layers to this, why we were descended from chairs. I will read it first, and then I'll tell a little story about it involving our dean, who is here. But the poem goes like this. It's in 5 parts. 1. A chair looks like a person sitting in a chair. 2. A mother and a child are 2 generations. A mother and a child in a rocking chair are 3. 3. A stair rarely danced with a table. 4. Pity the candidate who debates his opponent's empty chair. And 5. Even now, power rests in the one we call the chair. Now, when I learned that the book was accepted for publication, I wrote Ken a note and I told him the title, and he was interested in the poem, so I sent him the poem, and he wrote back, "You wrote this well before you came a chair, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes." So McKeel mentioned, well, this poem, as I'm wont to do, I was in deep contemplation over the Chinese zodiac, and I noticed, they have the year of the pig and the year of the snake and the year of the rat and the year of the rooster, and I thought something's missing here. Okay, and after only a moment, I realized what it was. So this poem is entitled "In the Year of the Platypus." In the year of the platypus, each letter will be written to whom it may not concern. Tomatoes will cease their laughter. Curmudgeons will sprout from the eyes of wayward potatoes. Frogs will braid a tapestry of doom. The lion shall petition to lie down with another lion. At long last, the martyred Moby Dick will tell his side of the story. Ukuleles, kazoos, and accordions will inherit the earth. As for me, you will find me, disguised as an inkstand, trembling in anticipation of the year of the squid. So, okay, this one's a little more serious. grew up in Greenwich Village, New York, till I was about 10 years old. I actually thought the whole world was like Greenwich Village, you know. Socialists and communists and beatniks, and well, I mean that was my world, including my mother. They had a straw vote in 1952 in my second grade class during the presidential election. This was my political awakening, and this was the first Eisenhower-Stevenson election. And Adlai Stevenson won something like 212-3. I came home, I said, "Ma, this is a wrap, we got it." She looked at me very sadly. Anyway, this poem is called White Baby, and it takes place, it's basically a true story, it takes place in Greenwich Village in 1948. I am 4 and small and white. My nanny, Ophelia, is brown and solid as the woman's penitentiary on 8th Avenue. The penitentiary doesn't say much, but in the end, it will say enough. Ophelia speaks to me as though I were a grown-up. "Andy," she says, "I want you to meet my brother William and my sister Belle." Belle and William shake hands with Andy. It does not matter that Belle and William are invisible. The 4 of us talk about William's job cleaning toilets at the racetrack and Belle's rotten boyfriend, Ivan. We even talk about my mother, who wants me to call her by her first name. "Your mama's a fine woman," says Ophelia, "but you got no more business calling her Felice than I do. You just keep calling her mama and she'll come to her senses." William and Belle agree. Sure enough, Mama comes to her senses. And after that, things are fine, until one day she joins us for a walk. As we pass the penitentiary, a woman calls from above, "Hey, Ophelia, where'd you get that white baby?" I don't see any baby. After that, I don't see Ophelia or William or Belle anymore either. My new nanny, Lily, is so pale she makes me look brown. Lily hardly speaks at all. You know, that poem about the platypus, often the reaction is, "Are you nuts?" And the answer is not really, because I didn't write that poem. An alter ego of mine wrote it. His name is LT. He writes the more, there's a long story about him, but he writes the more surreal poems. And McKeel has gotten to know him quite well. So this next one is kind of half and half. I wrote some of it. He pitched in some. It's called Fire. And there's an epigraph from a British physiopsychologist named Philip J. Core, who has written, "The brain may be seen as hardware and the mind as software." So this takes off from that. That's not all there is to it. The fanatic mind is to the brain what magma is to a volcano. The depressed mind is to the brain what guano is to the floor of a cave. The paranoid mind is to the brain what a soldier is to a foxhole. The schizophrenic mind is to the brain what a hyena is to a flimsy cage. The narcissist's mind is to the brain what a peacock's train is to the peacock. The mind of a fool is to the brain what a cow is to a piano. The mind of a genius is to the brain what galaxies are to the universe. For others, at its best, the mind is to the brain what a fire is to a fireplace, throwing off heat and light on its way to the ash bin. This next one is one that my wonderful editor chose to post on the website as a sample from the book. And it's pretty close to a true story, the beginning of it. We were visiting the Grand Canyon when my son was 9 or so. And he was not a terribly cautious person, and he was getting a little too close to the edge. So this is called Time Travel in the Grand Canyon. My boy is too close to the edge, scanning the cliffs for dinosaurs. Maybe I should tell him how time accelerates, how it took 4 billion years for these rocks to form, but only 30,000 for the river to slice through them. How last week, when the wind blew a woman off the rim, it took her less than a minute to drop down through the ages. Her shadow on the canyon wall, already a ghost. So now I have to give my daughter equal time. So the title is, well, it's not quite self-explanatory. The title is Rachel at 8. The subtitle is, Or the News from Down Under. I take her to the ocean at dusk, watch her dive through the breakers and emerge laughing beneath a perfect half moon, the other half down there dancing with her. I figured the rest of my life will be anticlimax. But the next day I hear her say, Madeline, there are colors you and I have never even heard of. When Madeline asks where, Rachel says, Australia. It's true story. This is a career poem, a kind of a desperate poet career poem coming up. And if I can get the right page here. Yeah, the title is The Poet Who Killed the Moon Pleads Guilty with an Explanation. When I was a boy, the moon was as real as my fist. Later, like everyone else, I tried to use it to advance my career. And when that failed, to ignore it, but it would not let me be. Think of the torture I endured, staring up at the same tired simile night after night, praying for clouds. Imagine the agony of driving down a country road lit by a stale metaphor, or knowing that the tides are ruled by a cliche. I sought comfort in things I could touch. When the moon appeared in a cheese sandwich, a tambourine, a woman's face and buttocks, I was driven to act. But I think you will agree that I have suffered enough, since now every sentence I write ends with an eclipse. Well, the chemistry department is represented here, but is anybody here from physics? I got a physics poem here. This is called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Once, in college, I explained this to a girl I was trying to impress. Men are like that, she said. You can't pin them down. It was hopeless anyway. She tolerated me only because she wanted my friend, whose knowledge of physics was innate. From across the table, she gazed into my eyes, took my hands, and said, "Tell me about Jim." I told her the truth. At a party, he had dropped his pants, lit a match, and for a moment, transformed his ass into a jet engine. She said she wished she had seen it. I said I had lied. She looked at me then with interest.